you give us a bit of a background of your own journey? I would love to understand, how you came to do what you do today and how you came to do that with your family.
Our craft is communal. The land where we live is communal. And then this community is organized by many cells, right, which are the nuclear families, if you will. And in our family, it's always been the case that on my dad's side of the family, they were actually more in the farming. They
Okay.
farmed a lot and they wove on the side, like little projects. And on my mom's side of the family, they were butchers and then they wove on the side.
Okay.
Our history of weaving, goes back a long time ago. There's been, some like 14,000-year-old textiles made with agave fibers, which were one of the earliest materials that were used in this valley to make rugs before we domesticated wild cottons and, way before we started to use sheep only 500 years ago. So the weaving skill has remained a community heritage, and it's just part of the way of life. You do one kind of trade, and then you always do weaving on the side.
Yeah.
But when the craft of weaving just started blooming, when they built the airport and highway, more and more families transitioned fully into weaving. And when my parents got married, then they decided to do more of the farming because my dad got some of that land and the weaving. And at some point, they had their business since they got together, around the 80s, and they've had like 30 weavers working with them from the village and from other neighboring villages. And that's how they were in the business of mostly weaving wholesale rugs to be exported to the southwest of the U.S.
I wanted to ask you, today you guys have e-commerce, you offer Airbnb opportunities to people coming in and staying with you guys and everything. So all of this technology has immersed it. Did you guys ever feel like there was a conflict between, safeguarding your traditions and your identity and commercializing that part of it, to the outside world and everything? Do you guys ever feel conflicted about that part?
To be honest, it's an adaptation. And it's not something we choose to do. When we were going to markets to sell our rugs, we would always invite people, because we wanted them to see our town. We're proud of the sacred mountain. It's right in front of our house. And also there is an ancient temple underneath the church with all the motifs that we weave, that our ancestors made, thousands of years ago and carved them in stone. And it's nice when people can relate to that instead of, just a product in the market. So we've always been open in that way to tourism. But anyway, it's just this relationship with the market. There's a daily market going on here every morning. And so that's the market. It's a sacred place where we all meet to share not just products, but stories and to make friends. So for us, markets are not these, places where you just meet for transaction. They're intimate places where you meet for connection. And in that way, from the very beginning, we had this approach. And every weaver in a village has this approach when they go and sell rugs.
The way that you do business as a community, so the Benizaa people, how would you compare? So you've been abroad, you've compared this, you've been able to compare this to American standards, Europeans, you've seen everyone do business in their own way. What do you think is special about how you as a community do business in terms of your values and in terms of you said yourself, you studied sustainable manufacturing. I doubt they could teach you anything that you guys didn't already know probably for centuries. But it would be interesting to understand, when you started realizing what the rest of the world how they manufactured, what they're doing, how they're conducting business. What stood out to you about the way that you are doing business, your community does business, and where do you see that maybe these practices would be beneficial to be adopted by, a wider, like other businesses as well around the world?
The important thing, because we're a community, in some way or another, we're all related to each other.
Mm.
I'm working with this weaver and that weaver, and someday he could be part of the family.
Mm.
And so we're all related to each other. And so I think if we see ourselves as this bigger family, which is a lot of corporate cultures are trying to build, right? I mean, here is literally,
Mm-hmm.
this weaver will become your compadre,
Mm-hmm.
or you'll be the godfather of this family, or maybe your daughter will fall in love with the son of this family,
Yeah.
and so on. And I think that's that nature of intimate connections just makes our businesses work better, because there's always that trust. It's a very unique environment here because it's a village of around, right now, probably around close to 9,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And almost everybody is a weaver, 80% of the working population. We also work with two other villages that are next to us. Between three villages, the other two villages have around 4,000, 5,000 people. But between three villages, we managed to weave 12 tons of rugs per month.
Mm-hmm.
So, often when we talk about crafts, we imagine like, oh, yeah, I make one or two baskets or one or five rugs uh, per month. But no, like here, it's actually a decent scale, like 12
Mm-hmm.
tons of rugs, at least. And it's the nature of rug business to have a lot of inventory, right? But that's how much raw materials we're buying from suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sizable amount, and yet there is no single roof factory. I think there is no single like CEO or any like title that goes with this organization. It's just really a network of relationships.